going to talk about the issue of STI, Science, Technology and Innovation, STEM education, and also the implications this have on Africa's development. First point is that we do know that Agenda 2023, just like the SDGs, have marked out very clearly the value, the importance of STI. Actually, in Agenda 2023 specifically, goal number 2 is very much about human capital supported by science, technology, and innovation. And why is this so, we can ask? Why did actually the African Union, and I'm talking about the 55 member states, go as far as being so precise about accounting for STI in the Agenda 2023? Three things actually can be highlighted here. Number one is actually to recognize that Agenda 2023 is about implementation, is about results, is about impact. And the African Union did recognize that to get implementation, capacity would be critical. And what is capacity? What do we talk about when we say capacity? The underlining pillar for capacity is human capital, is people. And this is about skills, it's about competences, it's about mindset, it's actually also about informed intellectual assets. And this is why the precision about science, technology, and innovation becomes important, because it has to be purpose-specific human capacity, human capital. And this is why, as goal number 2 stipulates, and further actually supported by the STISA 2024 as a specific framework on science, technology, and innovation, has highlighted the importance of that. And what are the experiences in the continent on that since actually Agenda 2023, but also prior to that? What we are seeing, especially since Agenda 2023, is much more specific attention and effort into the issue of science, technology, and innovation. We see numerous actually initiatives, efforts about policy alignment, about investments that is going into innovation hubs, for instance, science councils, and also indeed you actually see much more highlighting and actually putting a spotlight on both public, private incentives, innovations, on science, technology, and innovation. And this is critical, and we see actually that when we come to assessment of the performance of Agenda 2023, science, technology, and innovation will be a critical enabler of what is being done and how it's being done, and indeed how the continent is not just doing the work, but indeed building capacity, systemic capacity to actually deliver on economic growth and development. We do understand, and of course it's important to recognize that there is room actually to do more and better in this area of science, technology, and innovation and its application in Africa. And therefore one can say, what are the incentives, what are the disincentives even that we have? Because the issue is, how do we go to scale faster and wider in the situation we are today? There are a lot of incentives and actually compelling factors that would allow us to actually say, yes, we can do it, we can succeed, apart from actually very clear business case. And I want to emphasize that STI is actually provides a very compelling business case in terms of effectiveness, efficiency, competitiveness in business and performance. And by business, actually, I don't just mean profit. I also am talking about effectiveness of public service delivery, the performance of our public institutions. So it's actually a case that is clear and is compelling, and we don't have to, there's no argument, there's no contestation about the importance of STI in that area. We also know that when you come to competitiveness, and especially looking at participating in the global economy, in the context of the CFTA, the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, within the continent and beyond, competitiveness is going to be important, and therefore the embracing and application of science, technology, and innovation is going to make a difference in terms of effectiveness, efficiency, and therefore competitiveness in capturing the markets and actually being able to generate the economic value, the financial value, the social value that the continent needs to actually deliver on resilient and inclusive economic growth and development. So what I'm saying here in terms of incentives is that the factors are there. There is increasingly, as I said, within the context of the African Union, but also at a different national level, a lot of policy alignment that is happening to recognize and provide legislation, provide incentives, provide investments in terms of argumenting the case for increased capacity in science, technology, and innovation, both the generation and also the application. But equally important, and probably where we need to put more effort, is on the disincentives. And a couple of them that actually cuts across the continent. We talk about infrastructure, it remains an issue. Today we also have the perceived, and I use the word perceived deliberately, issue of the competition between technology and jobs, technology and incomes, and actually sometimes the scare that is presented by some of us that technology is going to take away jobs, and indeed probably so correctly, but the issue then is how do we embrace jobs and also support that there is income opportunities, which is jobs, entrepreneurship for our populations. And I think the issue is how do we take both forward in the manner that is supportive to our economic growth and development. So this is some of those, I mentioned the issue of infrastructure is actually critical in terms of the capacity to research, the capacity for application, and indeed the whole integrated, and this is my third point on disincentives, is that we are so fragmented in terms of the way we are applying, the way we are operating, and you find that when you come to implementation, actually the ability to connect across in terms of systems approaches, connecting between business, between public interest, between civil society, between education, research, policy, is going to be critical. And this is why even when you talk about governments, these are matters that are cutting across different ministries. When you look at the 20 goals of Agenda 2023, and the STI comes in as actually a cross-cutting issue, it's about agriculture, it's about industry, it's about technology in terms of industrial materials, it's about health, it's about sanitation. So all those elements have to be embraced in the manner and recognizing STI as actually cross-cutting. And a lot of our systems are actually not designed to function in that way. So we have to go a little bit out of the way, out of the usual, out of the business as usual, in terms of trying to build systems that are much more integrated, much more holistic, and actually that will support movement in a collective, integrated manner. And actually, as I said in the beginning, we don't have a choice as a continent. We need to embrace STEM education. We need the numbers, and it's not just about the youth, it's about everybody. We need the numbers, we need the institutions, we need the policies, we need the infrastructure as a continent. If anything that we've set out in terms of Agenda 2023 is going to be realized, and realized actually in the time and space that we've committed to deliver on that. So it is something that has to be, as a continent, we need to talk about it more. So I thank you and appreciate your listening.